Welcome to the Community Board 10 General Meeting. Today is June 20th, 2024. We thank you for your patience as we have gotten everyone settled as the best we can. Before we begin, it is my pleasure to tell you about Todd Feldner, the Executive Director of the Bay Ridge Center. Todd W. Feldner is the dynamic and innovative Executive Director of the Bay Ridge Center. Under Todd's direction, the center developed a new 21,000 square foot, age-friendly older adult center, moving from the church basement where the agency had operated for 46 years. The center has evolved to comprise, okay, thank you. Thank you. We were introducing the person who will be giving the honor of the pledge. I understand there's some technical difficulty, and they will be working on that. I will hold. Thank you. Pardon. Yes, it is available on live stream. Okay. We are happy to share that the television in the next room is working and they are able to receive the live stream. And I'm glad we have an opportunity to begin again because our executive director's name is Todd Feldner. So my apologies. Todd W. Feldner is the dynamic and innovative executive director of the Bay Ridge Center. Yes, thank you. Under Todd's direction, the center developed a new 21,000 square foot, age-friendly older adult center, moving from the church basement where the agency had operated for 46 years. The center has evolved to comprise a network of services, including providing home-delivered meals to more than 600 individuals daily, a community NORC, naturally occurring retirement community, and care management for an affordable senior housing apartment complex. The diversity of services contributes greatly to the center's growth and sustainability. Previously, Todd was the development director for the Brooklyn Community Pride Center and the Tribeca Performing Arts Center. He has also held senior development and marketing positions at numerous Broadway and off-Broadway theaters, including Circle Repertory Theater, Roundabout Theater Company, WPA, The Pearl, and Primary Stages. As an entrepreneur, Todd founded, launched, and operated NYC Navigators, Outbound New York, Inc., and POV NYC. Todd was honored as one of the kings of Kings County for his service to the community. Todd was also honored to receive an award by City and State Magazine as one of the 2024 nonprofit trailblazers. We thank him for welcoming our board to this beautiful space. Please welcome Todd Fliedner for the honor of the pledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we're so glad you're here. And I hope you have a chance to look around and see what a great place this is for adults 60 plus. I'm honored to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
And wait. Please, 1 minute.
Congratulations, Todd. We're pleased to present you with the honor of the pledge. Jane, want to take a photo?
Thank you,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We now have a motion to adopt our agenda. Do we have a motion? And seconded? Thank you. All in favor? Thank you, board members. We now have a motion for the adoption of the minutes. Yes, and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. And now we will go on for our public session. Before we begin, we would just like to review some of Community Board 10 rules for public meetings. Community Board 10 welcomes all to attend and participate in our meetings. We must follow the New York City Open Meetings Law, and we always look forward to a productive conversation about matters that we are reviewing. We ask that you please heed the following rules when joining a Community Board 10 meeting. Number 1, the goal of public meetings is for all to participate in an environment that allows anyone to provide comment on any matter before the board. Number 2, all are welcome to attend and participate in Community Board 10 public meetings. However, if a venue's maximum capacity has been reached, you may be asked to wait outside until some already inside leave the meetings, or you may be advised to watch the live stream of the meeting off-site due to New York City occupancy laws and safety regulations. Number 3, If there is a meeting that provides a presentation, the public will have an opportunity to ask questions following committee member questions. Number 4, anyone wishing to speak during the public session portion of the meeting must fill out a public session speakers form prior to the start of the meeting. Speaking time is usually granted for 2 minutes, but may be limited depending upon the number of speakers that sign up. Speakers must adhere to the time limit for speaking and must finish their remarks when the timer sounds. Number 6, anyone attending a Community Board 10 meeting is expected to show respect for all at the meeting. There will be no speaking out of turn, no cross conversation, no shouting, and no vulgar or profane language used. Requests to be recognized to speak should be directed to the chair, and only those who have been recognized by the chair are permitted to make comments. Number 7, again, when someone is speaking, we must listen and allow them to finish their remarks without interruption. It is important that we show respect for all speakers, even if we do not agree with their viewpoint. And number 8, anyone attending a meeting can be removed from the assembly hall. The chair has the power to remove a non-member at any time during a meeting, and the person has no right to appeal the chair's decision. Disruptive members of the public will be asked to leave the meeting room in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order. And may I ask, if you do have a cell phone, could you kindly turn down your volume? Thank you. Thank you so much. We now move on, as I said, to our public session. We'd like to begin by welcoming Assemblyman Michael Tanusis.
Speak into the phone. You can hear me? Okay, number 1, I just want to apologize for my voice. Unfortunately, my allergies are kicking in. I am here today because I am opposed to the retail adult use marijuana dispensary at 8412 3rd Avenue here in Brooklyn. I have drafted a letter that I will be sending to the New York State Office of Cannabis Management, and I will read that letter now. And I am joined in opposition as well with our Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, and also my colleague in the Assembly, Assemblyman Alec Brooke-Crosney. The letter reads as follows. We hope this letter finds you well. It has come to our attention that RMAN Holdings LLC has submitted an application to open an adult use retail dispensary at 8412 3rd Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. We are writing to express our firm opposition to the proposed opening of this cannabis dispensary. The opening of this dispensary will have a profound negative impact on our community's quality of life. The proposed location is in close proximity to various schools and houses of worship. The schools within this radius include the Demetrius and Georgia Galoides Parochial School, Adelphi Academy of Brooklyn, Stepping Stones Nursery School, Public School 185, and Bay Ridge Catholic Academy. The houses of worship within this radius include Holy Cross Greek Orthodox Church and St. Anselm's Catholic Church. The establishment of an adult-use retail dispensary at this location, where there is heavy foot traffic of students going back and forth to school on a daily basis, would result in an increased exposure of cannabis to minors, despite regulations and age restrictions. The opening of this establishment would be a disruption to the nearby schools and would interfere with the sanctity of nearby houses of worship. In consideration of these factors, we urge you to deny the opening of this cannabis dispensary at this location. Signed, myself, Assemblyman Michael Tanusis, Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, and Assemblyman Alec Brooke Crosley. As a community board, I just want to say that obviously you do have an advisory capacity. I ask, as we, the elected officials, will put pressure on the Office of Cannabis Management to deny this application, we urge you, as elected officials here, to deny this application. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we welcome Senator Andrew Gennardis. Yes.
Andrea.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. Oh, that wasn't very nice. I hope your kids aren't here, because I hope you're not teaching them that lesson. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here with you all. I know it's been a few months since I last saw you. That's because, as you know, every time you meet from January to June, I'm in Albany, and this is the first meeting that I'm back. So a couple of quick updates to share with you all. Number one, just today, if you remember the last time I was here in December, I talked about legislation I was working around social media and kids' mental health. Big effort. We know the Surgeon General has said that social media is not safe for kids. Just this week, he called for warning labels on social media apps because of the dire mental health crisis impacting kids on social media, rates of depression, hospital admissions for suicidal ideation, self-harm, you name it, double and triple for teenage users of social media, particularly young girls. So we've been working on some legislation with the governor and the attorney general. That legislation passed this year, and just today, the governor signed both of these bills. It's the first law in the nation to take this approach to regulate how the algorithms are being used to manipulate kids on their apps to force them to scroll longer and longer and longer. So what that means is, for kids under the age of 18, once the law goes into effect in a few months, they will no longer be bombarded with content they did not sign up to see, but instead it's going to be more of a chronological feed just based on the accounts that they choose to follow. Why is this important? Because you can imagine young teenage girls looking on Instagram for dieting tips, being fed information about extreme weight loss, harmful dieting practices, fad diet pills, you name it, and that leads to serious harm. Kids have died because of this, and that's just the beginning. So very proud that the governor signed this into law today. First law in the nation to do this, and I'm proud that we were able to author that. And this was despite a multi-million-dollar opposition campaign by the social media companies to oppose us because they profit handsomely off the status quo. In 2022, social media apps made $11 billion in ad sales just off of kids. They are profiting off of our kids' mental health, and they expect us to do nothing about it. Well, that changes today. Second legislative update I want to share with you. A street safety update is this year the red light camera program was up for renewal. You have to renew it every couple of years. We've had red light cameras since the early 90s. By law, we have to renew it every 4 or 5 years, and by law, only 150 cameras in a city of 13,000 intersections can operate. We renewed the program for 3 more years, and we expanded the number of cameras to 600 across the city. One of the big issues we hear about constantly in the office is, why can't we do more to stop people from running red lights? This will help combat that quite a bit. The last 2 things. on housing, I know that the community board had a hearing a couple weeks ago. I was in Albany around the City of Yes proposal, which is a New York City zoning proposal. I have no direct input in that. But what I do want to say is, as I've said to this board in the past, we are in a housing crisis. And if we want to continue to live in a neighborhood where kids and grandkids can stay in the same neighborhood where they were raised, we have to address the housing affordability crisis. And that is a multi-pronged approach that includes building more housing. That does not mean tear down every building we currently have and put up skyscrapers. That does not mean get rid of every private home and put up skyscrapers. But it does mean building more housing where we can build more housing. The ratio of housing purchase prices to income, what it was 20 years ago or 10 years ago to what it is today, you may have had to save 10 years for a down payment 20 years ago. Today you have to save 30 years. It's no longer sustainable. And so for this neighborhood that used to be a neighborhood of teachers and firefighters and police officers and civil servants, you cannot afford to buy a home in this neighborhood unless someone is giving you a $250,000 down payment as a gift. And let's be real, not everyone has access to that type of money. So we have to address the housing crisis. And so I urge the board, as they're considering their City of Yes recommendations, offer your feedback, be thoughtful about it, but just know we have to be building housing in a way that is appropriate for each neighborhood and in a way that helps us address the affordability crisis across the entire city. Okay. So, and the last thing you want me to stop there? Okay, I've been called, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. If I could now ask Richie Barsamian for Assembly Member Alec Brooke-Krasny to please come up.
Everyone, good evening. Do I need the microphone? Okay. Okay, everyone, good evening. I have the honor of being with you tonight. My name is Richie Barsamian, and I am the Director of Community Affairs for Assemblyman Alec Brooke-Krasny of the 46th Assembly District. To all the respected individuals on Community Board 10, on behalf of Assemblyman Alec Brooke-Krasny, I ask you two things, and two things right now. You have served to always protect our community. Continue to do so. No on the City of Yes, and no on a cannabis supermarket in our neighborhood. We are here and we talk about children's health. We are here and we talk about suicidal ideations and the well-being of our children. What well-being are we pursuing if we allow a 6,000 square foot multi-level cannabis supermarket 3 blocks away from 8,000 school-age children? What will we tell the 14, 15, and 16-year-old girls who pass every day, who are fascinated by this, who find one miserable, unethical adult and give him money to go buy them cannabis? And the answer is, this is destruction for our children. We must get together, and we will. And whether it's 85th Street and the former Rose Glass, whether it's 84th Street, I tell the people behind this cannabis superstore, do not test our resolve. You're about to see the strength of Bay Ridge and Dyker. We will not step down. We will not acquiesce. Bay Ridge and Dyker are not open to a supermarket of cannabis. Now let's go to the next destructive proposal. Let's go to the City of Yes. Are we to suspend reality where 11 people died in basements during Storm Ida just a few years ago? So the answer to that, the answer to the affordable housing crisis, is to put people in basements and garages. Ladies and gentlemen, Bay Ridge is not for sale. Dyker is not for sale. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, all Brooklynites, I call on each and every one of you, unite and fight. And the strongest no for our children's future, for our parents, and for the foundation laid by our grandparents. We will not allow. The answer to the city of yes is no. And the answer to the cannabis store, the supermarket, whether it's 85th or 84th, no. If you want to be responsible, go open in an industrial neighborhood. One thing, do this for me. Let everyone see, like Assemblyman Alec Brooke-Krasny has seen, hundreds of phone calls. If you do not want the city of yes, and if you don't want the cannabis supermarket, join us. We'll be protesting. Stand up if you don't want these two things. Just stand up. Community Board 10, thank you. Look around the room.
Thank you. Next, we will welcome Samia Ajami from Senator Chu's office. Thank you, Samia.
Hi, everyone. I'm from Senator
Here,
Chu's office.
You need the microphone.
Hello, hi, everyone. My name is Samia from Senator Chu's office. I'm the community liaison. If anyone has an issue with sanitation, HRA issue, screed, dry, it can be anything. Please pass by our office. We're open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 5. We're at 6605 for Hamilton Parkway. Recently, Senator Chu has just passed 2 bills. One is for assaulting a retail worker, which is now will be considered a Class D felony. And another bill is regarding the e-bikes safety package. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we welcome Rob Aguilar from Council Member Alexa Avila's office.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Aguilar. I'm the District Director with the Office of Councilmember Alex Aviles. I actually have just a few announcements. As the weather gets warmer and we're going into the summer months, Con Edison has put out warnings that there could be some possible outages. So if any of you who have lived in Dyker Heights last week experienced some outages due to the storm, we just want to make you aware that you can reach out to our office and we will do our best to lean on Con Edison. So with the last storm, our team was in constant contact with Con Edison, and we were up almost 2 or 3 in the morning to make sure that the power was restored. So if you experience any type of outages, reach out to our office and we'll do our best to lean on Con Edison to make sure that the power is restored. The other important thing that I want to share with you all is the truck reroute map that is now live. And as per our request, we have asked DOT to extend the map. The cutoff date was June 30th, and we asked that they extend that to July 15th. So Bay Ridge is doing a really good job in going onto the map and showing us where folks feel that there's issues with trucks, right? Trucks are getting bigger and they're not necessarily obeying the truck route system in place, and they're going down residential streets where they should not be going. So these truck lines have not been touched in over 50 years. So we ask folks in Dyker Heights, if you're experiencing giant trucks coming down your block, they're very dangerous. They cut into the street. I've seen myself around schools, trucks going down streets that they're not supposed to. We ask that you please go onto this map and drop a pin and let us know what your concerns are. We have 2 other events coming up also that I want to share with you really quickly. We have an emergency preparedness event that's going to take place at Sunset Park Library next Saturday. That starts at 11. And then also a paper shredding event also in Sunset Park on 44th and 6th Avenue. If you have a bunch of paper that you need to shred that's confidential information that you just don't want to throw out in regular garbage, come on down and drop off these bags there. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'd like to welcome Michael Sheldon from Councilmember Brannan's office.
Hi, everyone. Michael here from Councilman Justin Brannan's office. I'm very happy to see you all as well. Just wanted to give Justin's greetings to everybody. The budget has to pass, the city budget has to pass by June 30th this month, so he's out in City Hall fighting to make sure we get the much needed resources back to our neighborhood once again this year. Other than that, I just wanted to quickly invite you all to some upcoming events we have going on. So this Saturday night, we have our next silent disco. It's gonna be right over there on the pier. June 28th, Cannonball Park, we're doing a movie. It's a great night if you've got family. And then our summer concert series is coming back this year. So the first date is Tuesday, July 9th. And it goes every Tuesday through the rest of the summer. So yeah, hope to see you all there. Thanks for having me. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. Next, we'd like to welcome Lingjia Yi from Representative Dan Goldman's office.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lingjia Yi. I'm the senior field representative for Congressman Dan Goldman. I'm sorry, it's like with the echo, it's really weird. I'm here to bring some legislative update, and Congressmember Dan Goldman co-sponsored a Michelle Go Act with bipartisan support, and one of the co-sponsors is Congressmember Nicole Maratakis. And the Michelle Go Act will change the current Medicaid rule that doesn't pay for mental health beds, and which is causing, really doesn't help with our mental health crisis. So this is an important step for the law was introduced last year, and then he made an important step forward by getting bipartisan sponsorship for the law. And as we know, a lot of our homeless, visible homeless on the street have mental health issues. And then it's very difficult for them to get long-term support because Medicaid will not pay for a long-term mental health bed at any institutions that have more than 12 beds. And come on, we are a city of 10 million, and we only have, maybe a dozen or so hospitals. And if each institution has less than 12 beds, that's, is really way fewer than what our need is. And that's why we have so many people on the street not getting the need. And unfortunately, right now, one of the last ways that people can get mental health care is in shelter or in jail. It's very sad. And then this law seeks to change that situation by making Medicaid pay for the beds our community needs. And then secondly, Congressmember also co-sponsored some bills for small businesses, and some he seeks to bring more resources to small business childcare, because one of the important economic drivers is small business, because that gives money to our community instead of big corporations taking money away. So he's co-sponsoring several laws to bring more resources for childcare, for small business industry, and then also a law to incentivize employee-owned small business through the Employee Equity Investment Act. This law will reduce the fees it costs for, for the ownership transfer to employees. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we welcome Jessica Callow from our Brooklyn Borough President's Office.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Callow. I'm from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office. Has this echoed been here this whole time? Yeah, really? Okay. Okay, so really quick, some housekeeping. So, for those of you that are new to the board, welcome. We're very happy to have you on board. On Monday, June 24th, we'll have our community board swearing-in ceremony. It's at 6:30, and it's at Brooklyn Borough Hall. If you haven't RSVP'd to it yet, you will be able to attend via WebEx. It is mandatory for all members of the 2024 to 2026 cohort for both first-time appointees and reappointees to attend the swearing-in ceremony. Again, it's at Brooklyn Borough Hall, which is 209 Joralemon Street, if you don't have the address. We will send out a link for the WebEx, and I really recommend it. It's a really nice event if you haven't been to it. If you haven't been to it in a couple of years, it's a great refresher. I hear our training that we're going to be doing this year is going to be very engaging. So I hope to see you all there. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes all of our elected officials who will be speaking this evening. We continue now with our public session and the green forms. This will be limited to 1 minute per speaker, as was indicated at the top of the green form. We will start with Dr. Ramawi to speak with us.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm just going to talk about marijuana from the medical point of view. Marijuana has different names in the street. It could be called hashish, pot, dope, weed, guran, shink, or marijuana. It is got from a certain plant which is named cannabis indica or cannabis sativa, from the leaves of the branch of that plant, or from the stem, or from the flowers. Now, the effective part of it is called THC, which is tetrahydrocannabinol. Now, that substance, the THC, is the important part of it. It depends, the amount of the THC in it will give you the amount how that medicine will work against you. Now, that THC, you could take it either in cigarettes, or you can take it by mouth, or you can take it as vapor. When it goes inside your body, it goes to the brain and go to certain receptors, and those receptors will affect your body, and they take it because they feel high with it. Now, it is now common in 7 states of America, and New York State is one of them. And it is very common now because it is easy to get from the street, and it is very common. People get it very easy. Now, in medicine, they could use it for certain kinds of pain, like in cancer or severe pain, they give it, or to decrease the use of the opioid. Yeah, okay. Now, the effects, there is short effect and there is long effect. The short effect, that there is altered sensation of colors, altered sensation of the time, and this makes you have accidents, like car accidents. And then general, on the respiratory system, on the cardiac system, on the pregnant women, and the newborns. Is there an overdose for it? There is no overdose. You can't overdose with it unless you use something with a high THC. Is there addiction for it? There is a very little amount of addiction. The last thing I will tell you, that in September 20 and 21, which is Saturday and Sunday, we're going to make a public session for people who are like have children who are using drugs and things like that. So we will inform you about it. I hope everybody will attend that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It is now my pleasure to welcome Mr. Sayer Saeed, who is the new principal of a school that is opening in September here in District 20 within Community Board 10. Please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Saher Saeed. I am the interim acting principal for PS 413, named after Joanne Seminara, a member of the community that we all honor, and we would like to keep her legacy in our community. So thank you all for taking the time to give me that space to share a little bit about our school. So our mission at PS 413 is to cultivate not only the academic skills of our students, but also to build their social and emotional skills. Our school will focus on building the foundation in law and medicine for our incoming kindergarten students opening in September. So PS 413 is a small school with a big heart. We are 2 classes in each grade. So opening in September, we welcome all our kindergarten students. We will offer world languages starting kindergarten. Also, we created partnership with NYU Langone Dentistry, so students will receive full dental services for free, as well as for our parents, they will receive certification if they would like to learn some more about some workshops, so they become dental assistants. School is going to open in September. We are really proud of the work that will be taking place in the school, and we would like to invite you to become our partners, inform the community about the great opportunities that will be available at our school. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Next, we welcome Pina Cintrone. Please come up. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Pina Catrone, and I'm in Bay Ridge about 20 years now, formerly from Bensonhurst. I don't like the changes that I've been seeing in this neighborhood, but I do have some very valid questions. With all this affordable housing coming in and hundreds of thousands of people entering our neighborhood, we already have an ongoing crisis with hospitals. This is fact. Last visit at Methodist Hospital, there is an average of a 5-hour wait in the emergency department. Look it up, it's fact. Whether you come in by ambulance or you walk in, it's a 5-hour wait. That's disgraceful. What's going to happen to hospitals, cops, firemen, sanitation? They're already burdened under this heavy load. I need some solid answers. And another point I wanted to make, with all this affordable housing, who's paying the taxes on it? Are they going to be allowed affordable taxes, and our taxes are going up? Can we please have some solid answers for this? Because I think these points are valid. These cops are already overworked. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we welcome Ria Labate. Please come up. Thank you so much.
Okay, so many of us invested in Bay Ridge because of the safe environment we had been accustomed to. I know that Senator Gurnardis said that they passed the red light camera law to ensure the safety of our community, but how is cannabis utilization regulated for driving? If we aren't okay with being impaired under the influence of alcohol, how are we okay with the impairment of cannabis? I urge you to consider an industrial area to put this cannabis dispensary without the direct influence on our children in our community. In addition, I'm opposed to the city of yes. Again, we need to protect our investment with the overpopulation in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we welcome Nicole. Nicole did not provide her last name. Is Nicole here? Can we please check if in the overflow area? Yep, we will check. I'll go to the next speaker. please welcome, is Susan Parla here? Susan? Is there Susan Parla in that room? Good evening. Nicole or Susan, who are you? Susan, we'll start with you.
Hi.
And then we'll try and find Nicole.
Thank you, Community Board. I'd like to speak on, first, the school that's being built on 7th Avenue and 86th Street. There needs to be some traffic control there. I take that way every day home from work. It's not safe. Those kids are not going to be safe crossing those streets. Please at least put a left turning sign or something. The city of Yes. So we have a state law limiting class size right now, which we cannot even kind of get. Oh, what happened to my thing? We cannot even meet this in our neighborhood as well as New York City. So how are we gonna have increased housing here in this neighborhood? Like, where are we gonna put these kids? What schools do we have? You should come to McKinley and walk the halls in McKinley during passing. You can't even get through. What about the strain on our sewer system, the electrical grid system? New York City can't handle its current capacity. I mean, we need to build schools. We don't need more housing. We need more schools. Also, this pot store, come on. I mean, put it in the Upper East Side near Hunter College. See how that goes. Or put it in Park Slope by PS 321. See how that goes. They're not going to like that. They're going to be worse than us. We don't want that here. And please, let's do something about these e-bikes already. Let's get some enforcement already. Come on.
Thank you. Next, we welcome Chuck Ote. Please come up.
Chuck, we let you in? I'm here.
Okay, Chuck.
Okay. Yes. As some of you or your grandparents may know, I've been writing a column for the Home Reporter since most of you were born. And as a result, I've had a chance to see what change is good and what change is bad. The Community Board took great pains a few years ago to get housing limitations, 6th floor. That was the major achievement by the board, Steve Harrison and Kirk Ioannidis. But I want to tell you, I don't want to sound dire, but I have a little bit of time. This is not political. This is financial. A group of venture capitalists, and I've seen this happen a dozen times, a group of venture capitalists is going to come in and buy housing by swaths. And they're going to they're going to sell them by swaths. This is a profit-driven program. Some of the people who are behind it may accuse us of racism. Well, I've owned a house for 60 years in Bay Ridge, maybe long, no, not longer. But, so I know what the American dream is. It is you buy a house, you feel secure, you have achieved something. You don't achieve anything by living in a basement or a rehabilitated garage. Let these people dream like we dreamed.
Thank you. Next, we welcome John Picciano.
John Picciano. I've been a longtime resident of Bay Ridge for decades now, and what I've seen happen in my community over the last couple of years is just a tragedy. I know everyone sees it, everyone witnesses it, whether you want to admit it or not. You have Senator Gordonardis coming up here, and for one, I do want to applaud you for what you're doing with the social media. That is something that's admirable, something that's needed. But in the same breath, you make no comment about protecting my 5 children that are a matter of a half block away of this proposed cannabis shop. You make no mention of their well-being. You make no mention of my younger son who is struggling with substance abuse issues because he got introduced to pot at a young age. He is now addicted. He's been in and out of countless psychiatric facilities, meeting with different counselors. You make no mention of that whatsoever. You need to protect the children no matter what. okay? So I applaud you on one hand, but it's a disgrace. Brannon's representative comes up here and gives us flyers about some movies that we're going to watch, and there's no issue whatsoever that's spoken about the well-being of our children in this community. So absolutely no to this cannabis license. Absolutely no. And I will fight it to the day I die.
Thank you. Next, we wish to welcome Catherine Garrity.
How are you? I want to say I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse in community health in Bay Ridge and Brooklyn for 19 years, and I'm now a hospice nurse. I have raised 5 kids here in Bay Ridge, all public school, and I now have 6 grandchildren. I cannot begin to tell you as a nurse, I can begin to tell you as a nurse, the effects of marijuana. I also promote medicinal marijuana for our hospice patients because it has positive effects for pain management. I will tell you that marijuana abuse increases the risk of psychosis. It affects, a doctor has addressed it, dopamine in our brain. Having a facility that large around all of these schools where I walk my grandchildren every day back and forth, and from pre-K here to the park. And I can tell you how many mentally ill problems we have here in Bay Ridge already walking our streets. And having a facility like that where it's easy access for them to get marijuana only increases the mental health issues that already we hear on TV and the news every single day. So I say absolutely no to this.
Thank you. Next, we welcome Annette Geraci. I'm sorry, Annette, could you, is it a C or a G? A G. I'm sorry. It looked like a C.
I think it was supposed to be Geraci. But, Grandpa came up, and that was the end of that. Yes. Is this on? Oh, yeah. Okay, just a couple of things. Number one, I tried to read that proposal, and it first said that a proposal, it can go in before it has to be in. So even though it's not, it has to, wait, let me start. My brain gets fucked up. As long as you have the piece of paper with everything that's going to be stamped on by this affordable housing that is not going to go to your grandchildren or your cousins. We know where it's going, even though Jemani Williams told me that it was only going to go to the homeless that they have now. But I said, well, and then I said, you know where it's coming. They're coming from the border. They have to put them somewhere. And he said, oh no, oh no. I said, what do you care? You live at the fort. Right? Okay, so anyway, this thing is probably already done because you could put in all these papers before the time it had to be done. And as long as you have everything listed down, it's going through, period. And Justin Brannon, ask him who's fixing his house. And ask him how come a week before visitation announced its closing, that he went to talk to them. So, I don't know how they think we're stupid, but they make us crazy like this.
Thank you. Next, we invite Dino Diakomakos to please come up.
He's next door.
They're calling. Dino. And after Dino, Catherine Economos.
She's over here.
Okay. Dino is first, and then we'll go to Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dino. I'm born and raised here in Bay Ridge. My family has businesses that I run here. Short story, life is different. The crime, the quality of life, the safety. And I don't see Senator Gounardis, and I respect him, but just a couple weeks ago, he inducted the 120th Eagle Scout at Holy Cross. So here's my question. Is this something we want these Eagle Scouts to see when they walk up the block, literally a block away from Holy Cross? Okay. I used to go to this thing called Goya every Wednesday night. Okay. It was a place where teenagers could get together from, I think, the 8th grade to high school. And it was a place that kind of kept us out of trouble. As we got older, our parents gave us a little more slack and we were able to walk home with our friends. So you're telling me that these children now, at that age, when their parents do give them a little more slack to walk home, let's say, get a slice of pizza up the block, stop at cafe, they're gonna walk past this? Eventually they're gonna start wondering what it is, they're gonna wanna wander in there, get someone who's of age to go in there and buy it for them. And I'll tell you straight up, very simple. In my family, I come from a good family, very simple. I lost one person to fentanyl. It started with pot. Another one I threw in rehab, and another one was still trying to get him help. So this is what we're dealing with. This isn't the Bay Ridge I grew up in. I apologize for taking too much time. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Next, Catherine Economos. She's right here. Yes. And after that, it's Therese DeWill. Thank you. Thank you.
I just signed up as a speaker, so forgive me if I'm a little disorganized. My name is Dr. Economos. I am an OBGYN, GYN oncologist, and I want to speak to the problem of the effects of marijuana on the reproductive health of young boys and girls and young adults. 1, chronic marijuana use, and this is tailgating on the previous speaker's commentary on how it will become very easy for youngsters to seek experimentation with the availability of a dispensary in a very busy street near their schools and churches. Chronic marijuana use can negatively affect female reproductive health and result in ovulatory dysfunction, menstrual cycle irregularity, and reproductive hormones. Long-term marijuana use adversely affects male reproductive function and has been associated with testicular atrophy, low libido, sexual dysfunction, semen parameters. And prenatal marijuana does not increase the risk of pregnancy loss. However, it does increase the risk of preterm birth, decrease birth weight, and admission to the NICU. What I want to say is these are long-term reproductive health issues that are already being challenged by the mental health issues of youngsters because of social media. So this would be a significant added burden to the reproductive health of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Therese.
Good evening, everyone. I've lived in Bay Ridge since I'm 4 years old. I love Bay Ridge. I hate what I see. I hear a lot about a housing crisis, but more than that, it's a Bay Ridge crisis for people who live here. About 6 months ago, I live on 70th Street. Everybody got a visit by the housing department. They said that there was a violation for all our houses. We didn't have permits. I go, what? I didn't have a new kitchen, a new bathroom. Next thing we see, a house just like mine, a one family, has been converted. It's a 2 or maybe 3 family house. And there we go. Now there's 2 more houses for sale on my block. One's a 2, well that turned out to be a 4. Then there's a big house with 2 parking driveways. What usually happens is they rent them and send those cars to the street. Again, no parking. So the people on the block are at risk. I've paid a mortgage for like back in the day, 25 years, 8.5%, and you paid it for the amount of property you had. Now, they'll keep raising your taxes, but they don't care. You're going to fit 20 people in there, divided by 20. The rent won't mean much. It's getting decimated. The garbage, the rats, the garbage lined outside, and the people on the outside. One other thing, right outside here, when are we going to stop the drag racing? I mean, I'm going to get killed, but I'm not going to go down easy. And I'm telling you, and the e-bites, everybody knows what's going on. People, wake up.
Thank you. Next, we have Bobby Hassan, followed by Mary Borgognone. Borgognone. Thank you. Do we have Bobby here? Okay. We have Mary here. Mary, would you like to come up? Thank you so much. We'll start with Mary. If Bobby comes, we'll take him next. Thank you. Sure, don't worry about it.
I'm here because, like most of you, you love your neighborhood. I'm from Dyker Heights. I've been living in Dyker Heights since 1969. I lived in the apartment house on Fort Hamilton Parkway. It was a wonderful two-room apartment. I loved it. And then it took me 25 years to buy a house in Dyker. And I chose in my area where it's all one-family houses because I didn't want to go through problems with tenants. I had no house when I was a kid, you know. So my friends' parents had problems with the neighbors, the people in the house, the two-family house. They stopped paying rents. So my husband wanted the two-family house. I said, no, we're taking a one-family, and it's got to be in Dyker. Ever since I came into that area, I loved it. And I don't want to change it. First of all, we're not crowded in Dyker. Not at all. Schools are pretty good. We have kids come into the school bused in to junior high school, Dyker Heights. Let me tell you something. I don't want my neighbors to have to go through spending a fortune on changing their house for a two-family house that they never even wanted. Maybe some people might say this is, wow, gives me an opportunity to do this and do that. No, because once you do that, our city, our area, Dyker is going to be just like the crowded places. The kids can walk around with no problem. Come on, what happened to our society? We don't even talk to people anymore. My neighborhoods, my neighbors are wonderful people. You know, a little thing happens. They see somebody at the door. Mary, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, don't worry, it's okay. He's here for the electric downstairs in the basement. This is what you want. But what's going to happen when all this is changed? Because the country has changed by bringing in people. Don't get me wrong, my ancestors came here from Italy. After World War II, on both sides. Okay, this is it. And they worked hard to get their citizenship. And this should not be happening to any one of us. It is terrible that people have to go through this, and we know what's going to happen. They're going to approve of it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We thank all of our public officials, and we thank all of our community members who came out and spoke with us tonight. This concludes our public session. We will now go on to the review of some of our proposals. May I please ask Chris Ellison, our Police and Public Safety Chair, to please come up to speak about the next two applications for dispensaries. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Good evening. So the Police and Public Safety Committee meeting was held on June 10th at 7:25. The meeting was in-person meeting at the GGK gym. The agenda was as follows. Application for a new retail dispensary. Premises is 84, I'm sorry, this mic is reverberating. 8412 3rd Avenue, R-Man Holdings, LLC, OCM, Corrad, Conditional Adult Use Recreational Dispensary, 2022-00176. Number 2, applicant for a new retail dispensary, premise 8514 3rd Avenue, Canalicious LLC, OCM Retail, 2023-001394. R-Man Holdings, located at 8412 3rd Avenue, Brooklyn. Conditional adult use recreational dispensary. The applicant sent a notice from municipalities on May 14, 2024 to Community Board 10 office. Community Board 10 office did request a 30-day extension to the Office of Cannabis Management. The applicants are Giorgio Matisse, 54%, Amir Kadvan, 30%, Edgar Kleidman, 19%. None of the applicants were present, but they were represented by attorney Andrew Cooper from Falcon, Rappaport, and Berkman. The applicant does have a conditional adult use recreational dispensary license issued by Office of Cannabis Management. They have also secured a proximity protection from the Office of Cannabis Management, which means a dispensary cannot be on the same road within 500 feet of a building and its grounds occupied exclusively as a school, cannot be within 200 feet of a building occupied and used as a house of worship, cannot be within 1,000 feet of another dispensary or micro-business, retail location in areas of population greater than 20,000. Days prior to the meeting, there was an advertising truck located in the vicinity of 3rd Avenue and 84th Street, advertising against the existence of a cannabis dispensary in the former Pilo Arts Salon. I've attached the pictures to my report. Days prior to the meeting, the applicant submitted his security plan, an employee manual, and a floor plan as requested. The floor plan was not of the dispensary, but of the prior Pilo Arts Salon. They did post on the premise a copy of Community Board 10 public session, which was originally to be held at Community Board 10 office, but was amended to the DGK cafeteria due to an increased number of people from the community requesting to attend. The location encompasses 3 storefronts, 8410 3rd Avenue, 8412 3rd Avenue, and 8414 3rd Avenue. The hours of operation will be Sunday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., for a total of 70 hours per week. The meeting had to be moved to the GGK gymnasium due to overcapacity in the cafeteria. And an estimated over 200 people attended to voice their opinions. The acoustics in the gym were difficult for people to understand. Some of the attendees were unruly at times, shouting out questions and speaking out of turn and not allowing speakers to finish. R-Man Holdings has applied for several locations in the past. Community Board 1, June 2023 for 185 Bedford Avenue, Brooklyn. No action was seen on that, only a presentation to Community Board 1. Community Board 1, January 2024, R-Man's Holdings applied for 194 Kent Avenue. Board recommended not to approve because they failed to appear. Community Board 10, October 2023, High of Brooklyn, 7102 13th Avenue. The location was next door to a preschool. As per his attorney, Giorgio Matisse is part owner of the card store that is currently there. Community Board 10 notified Office of Cannabis Management that it was next door to a preschool and did not qualify. Community Board 10, December 2023, 455 86th Street. R-Man Holdings withdrew their application, yet the location was approved by Community Board 10 for High of Brooklyn. Questions asked during the public session by the chair and the committee were as follows. Who holds the card license, the conditional adult use recreational dispensary license? Mr. Cooper explained that Georgia Matisse has a 51% stake in the dispensary, holds the license. He also stated Georgia Matisse was convicted of a crime while he was in high school and is currently working for the New York City Department of Sanitation as a sanitation worker. Do you currently have possession of the premise? Yes, they have an active lease. Will they have delivery service? They will have delivery service with 2 people per car and will adhere to the protocols established by the management. Will they hire security guards on the premise? Yes, 2 security guards. Will they be willing to close between the hours of 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. when the majority of the schools in the area are dismissed? No. Approximately 26 people were given the opportunity to ask questions and speak. Each speaker was given approximately 2 minutes to speak, with the majority going over the 2-minute limit and some not relinquishing the microphone. During the session, we heard from 3rd Avenue Business Improvement District against the dispensary, as well as other business owners against the dispensary. The majority of the public who spoke were against the dispensary. 2 people from the public spoke in favor of the dispensary. A motion was made and seconded to render a negative opinion and request the Office of Cannabis Management deny the applicant for the following reasons: proximity to many schools and daycare centers, Home Sweet Home Daycare Center, 8306 3rd Avenue, distance 305 feet, a private child care center, serving the community for the past 12 years. DGK School, pre-K through 8th grade, Holy Cross Community Center, approximately 920 feet. Adelphi Academy, 8515 Ridge Boulevard, preschool to high school, approximately 969 feet. Stepping Stones Nursery School, 245 86th Street, approximately 776 feet. Included in the sounding area is PS 185 8601 Ridge Boulevard, Fort Hamilton Sky School, 8301 Shore Road, Bay Ridge Catholic Academy, 365 83rd Street, St. Mary's Antiochian Church, 8100 Ridge Boulevard, Holy Cross Greek Orthodox Church, 8401 Ridge Boulevard. This area has a high density of students from surrounding schools. The surrounding area is residential. The size of the premises will encompass 3 storefronts and will take a good portion up of 3rd Avenue. The motion passed unanimously in favor. Hence, in favor of denying the applicant. The motion, if you listen, our motion, it was to deny the applicant, and we were in favor of the motion. So, now I'll take any questions from board members.
Is there any size limitations to how big this seems like an unruly size dispensary?
Yes, you're absolutely right, and there is no size.
There's no size?
Not that I have seen in any of the
That's a
writings.
loophole, stupid loophole in that law.
The only thing that has size is if it's growing, like a farm. All right, it has to be over 3,000 feet, I believe, and it has to be a canopy. There are so many different... As far as a dispensary, there is no size that I have seen.
I'm a little confused because I see 2 applications here, one on 84th and one on 85th.
Correct, I'll do the next
Are they
one.
within 1,000 feet of each other?
I'm sorry? Say that?
Are they within 1,000 feet of each other?
Yes.
So how could that be allowed, right? Isn't there a rule that...
You'll hear it in my next motion.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Mhm. Any other questions from board members? Yes?
We have Ann.
Okay, do Ann first.
I just want to make the comment that although in the case of Fort Hamilton, it is fairly distant from the site, it is on the way to the public transportation. So throngs of students, even from schools that are slightly out of the radius, will be affected.
Correct. So in our motion, it does say the area has a high density of students from the surrounding schools.
This is just for clarification. On 4th Avenue and like near 86th Street, I saw a dispensary, and for the first time I saw this huge sign that said authorized. As I don't know if that's something he just added himself, or he wished that it was authorized, or
The
what's
only,
going on
the
with
only
that?
dispensaries that it would be authorized, there would be a sticker on it with a QR code. You can scan the QR code to make sure that it is authorized dispensary. That is the only ones that are authorized, or legalized, I should say, legal.
Yeah, this
The
was
one you
like
said,
the
the one you
huge-
saw is probably illegal.
Okay.
Because I don't know of any in Bay Ridge that are legal right now.
Okay, thank you.
No, board members only.
I'm sorry, only board members. Go ahead.
Do either of these applicants meet the legal requirements of the 500 and 1,000 feet, respectively?
Do they meet the legal requirements? Yes. The only problem is there is a day school within 300 and some odd feet away.
Is the day school?
The school itself, the building itself has to be used in the majority, the school has to be, the building has to be used as a school, total. The whole building, yes.
It's a daycare?
The entire premise.
Are daycares part of that legal wording?
I'm sorry, please say?
Are daycare centers part of that
Well, there
legal
is
restraints?
nurseries, and daycare centers are considered nurseries.
So both of these applicants are within that daycare center?
Correct.
So they wouldn't meet the legal requirements?
I'm sorry?
So they wouldn't meet the legal
I'm sorry,
requirements?
it's your
then?
mask, I just can't understand you.
I have a microphone. I don't know what
It's
to
okay.
tell you.
Let him speak, please.
So since they're both within a certain distance of the daycare center, they technically don't meet the legal requirement. Is that correct?
They technically do meet the legal requirements because the daycare center is, the building itself is not in a hole like PS 185. It's a school grounds. The daycare center, they only occupy, I believe, the basement and the first floor, and the top floor is rented.
Yeah. Okay. I have two questions. So first, I know you said you were going to get to it on the next one, but just so we know, like, we can only approve one of these if we were to approve any of them, right?
We don't have to approve any of them.
No. I'm just saying because they're within a. It's
for the proximity.
Yeah, because of the proximity. Okay.
Well, right now, which one is it? Our Man Holdings does have proximity protection. If you remember in the previous board meetings, I did bring up a proximity protection. You can go on their website, and their location is already protected. All right, so nobody is supposed to apply within that 1,000-foot radius unless they get denied. Then they can apply. But right as of now, Our Man Holdings holds the proximity protection, and they do have a conditional adult use recreational dispensary license.
Okay. So second question is, a couple of months ago, we did approve one in the 86th Street area on
Correct.
435, I think. Do you know what's happening with that? Like, I'm just curious where in the process that one is.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay.
All right, as far as any movement on it. I did see the building was for lease again.
Okay.
But officially, I don't know anything. They also have a proximity protection.
Okay.
Chris, I just wanted to know, have they already secured the location? And then, if they have, what happens after this now? We're not approving it. And then what? What's the next step?
Okay. They do have an active lease as per their attorney. I did not see the lease. The next step is our report or our motion goes to the Office of Cannabis Management. This then becomes part of their application. All right, and they review it. They can approve or they can deny. You can raise them on their website. You just Google the New York State Office of Cannabis Management, and you can go on there and you can send them messages.
Could we add that, what was said before about Fort Hamilton High School students?
I know you had a statement about a lot of students, but I think it's significant to note that these are high school age students who travel by themselves. And I just would recommend that we add that more specifically.
So you want to amend the motion to add?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay. You did second the other motion. It's all right,
And-
Ruth.
And the other
Any
thing
other-
I
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
questioned, and I don't know if this would help the motion at all, with the size of the proposed place, it would have to bring a huge amount of traffic, cars double parked in front, and it's already a very busy commercial corridor. I mean, I just can't get over the size of the place.
Well, I did write in the motion, or we did put it in the motion, the size of the premise will encompass 3 storefronts and will take up a good portion of that part of 3rd Avenue.
Yeah, and it'll also bring a lot of cars. But that's not our primary concern, a lot of cars, but it is a concern. So that's, I don't know how you want to address it. What?
Any other board members?
I just wanted to thank Chris and the committee for all the due diligence that they do on this. They don't take these applications lightly, they dig deep. And he sums it up fairly briefly, but it represents a ton of work, as does the City of Yes Committee. And I just think we're a community board meeting. We need to acknowledge that the people who serve on these committees are all volunteer, and they sometimes put in hundreds of hours of work, and I think we should acknowledge it.
One more question from board.
If there is going to be an amendment, I think it would be wise to include the capacity of these public schools, because a lot of schools in the other parts of the states may not be as large, and the sheer capacity of these public schools should be taken into account.
Well, not only
amount
the
of
public
students.
schools, but the private schools.
As
There's
well,
probably
correct.
well over
Of the
8,000
schools in
students.
general, like capacity.
Yeah, like, okay, someone's called the motion?
Well, I would suggest
Okay.
that.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
I would suggest that if the two of you don't mind making a joint amendments, we can vote on it at once to include the foot traffic of the students who take public transportation passing the location, and also the capacity of the schools. So make that, would you agree to make that into one motion? Okay, so it's a motion to amend the main motion just to include those factual notations into what we would be submitting to the Office of Cannabis Management. So do you want to take a vote on that?
Does anyone want to second that motion? Okay. So all those in favor of amending the motion by the committee to include the foot traffic and the approximately 8,000 students in that surrounding area? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That amendment passes. Now for the initial amendment, which includes the initial motion, which includes the motion. Need water, I'm sorry. All those in favor, please signify. Sure. A motion was made and seconded to render a negative opinion and request the Office of Cannabis Management to deny the applicant for the following reasons: proximity to many schools and daycare centers, Home Sweet Home Daycare, DGK, Adelphi, Stepping Stones. I'm not going to put in the addresses because I had done that. Including the surrounding areas: PS 185, 8601 Ridge Boulevard, Fort Hamilton High School, Bay Ridge Catholic Academy, St. Mary's Antioch Church, Holy Cross Greek Orthodox Church. The area has a high density of students from the surrounding schools, and the surrounding areas are primarily residential. The size of the premise will encompass 3 storefronts and will take up a good portion of 3rd Avenue. The amount of foot traffic from students will be increased in that area during dismissal? No. The amount of foot traffic in the area, there was approximately 8,000 students within that surrounding area. All those in favor? Go ahead.
Does the Office of Cannabis Management have the discretion to deny if we don't meet the exact metrics that they're talking about, or even if it's not exact? In other words, if they're saying it has to be 500 feet, if it was 550, could they still say no?
I understand. I don't have an answer for you because I haven't had any dealings with the Office of Cannabis Management prior to this, as far as overestimating distances. We did deny another applicant that was on 86th Street and 12th Avenue that did meet the requirements as far as proximity, but we did it because it was close to Dyker Heights High School, and we had thousands of students upon dismissal going to the bus stop in that area. That one, there is no proximity on that, and there's been no movement on that one. Correct. No, not that I know of. That I know of. Diane, real quick.
I have a motion on the floor. Wait, Diane. Wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't speak out.
We did call the question, so. All right.
No more comments.
All those in favor of the 9? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Thank you. Next item on the agenda was Canalicious LLC, proposed location, 8514 3rd Avenue, Brooklyn. The applicant did send a notice to the municipality's Community Board 10 office. The office did inform the applicant that Arman Holdings does have proximity protection from the Office of Cannabis Management for 8412 3rd Avenue, which is within 1,000 feet of another proposed dispensary. The applicant did want to continue with their application. The applicant, Lahai Montaser, will have 100% ownership of the dispensary along with their spouse, Malik Hassan. When asked if they have a lease or possession of the premises, the applicant did not. In the Community Board 10 questionnaire under Section B, information proposed location, that area was left blank. The hours of operation were Monday through Thursday, 12 to 9, Friday to Saturday, 11 to 10, and on Sunday, 11 to 9, for a total of 68 hours. The Office of Cannabis Management requires a minimum of 70 hours per week. The applicant did not submit a floor plan, security plan, nor a copy of the employee manual. A motion was made and seconded to render a negative opinion request the Office of Cannabis Management deny the applicant for the following reasons. The applicant's proposed location is in close proximity to many schools and daycare centers. Home Sweet Home, 8306 3rd Avenue, DGK Preschool, K through 8, Holy Cross Community Center, 8502 Ridge, Adelphi Academy, Stepping Stones Nursery, 245 86th Street, including the surrounding areas PS 185, 8601 Ridge Boulevard, Fort Hampton High School, 8301 Shore Road, Bay Ridge Center Catholic Academy, 365 83rd Street, St. Mary's Antioch School. The area has a high density of students from the surrounding schools, and the surrounding area is primarily residential. The applicant's questionnaire Community Board 10 was incomplete. The motion passed unanimously. Any questions on Canalicious? Board members?
1 second.
Larry?
1 second, Larry. Wait, Larry.
Sorry?
Is there a mosque on 86th Street?
A what?
86th Street between 3rd and 4th Avenue. I believe there's some sort of an
Not that I
Islamic-
know of. There is a mosque? I wasn't aware of that. '86th Street and where? Any other questions from board members? Lori?
I didn't hear you. You said when you asked them if they had a lease, did you say they didn't know?
No, they said they did not.
They do not have a lease. Okay, thank you.
I missed the opportunity for the previous one, but since you're including the Catholic school on 83rd Street, and you've included the other religious institutions around, I believe that you should also include the Catholic Church because it's a block away.
So if that's a motion to amend, Diane, can I make a joint motion to amend, which is that we also include the mosque because it is a house of worship. It should be included in that list. And
what's the name of the mosque? Do you know the name of the mosque?
maybe we could do that as a friendly amendment, considering that everyone else, everyone seems on board with that.
So we'll include the mosque?
The mosque and the St. Anselm's. Thank you.
What is the name of the mosque? It's all right. I'll just put a mosque.
Yes, I'm hearing that there is a
Any other questions from board members?
Here. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that we include the synagogue as well.
It's 4th Avenue and 81st.
Okay, order.
So those in favor of denying the applicant as amended, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
We had one abstention. Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you, Chris, and your committee for your hard work on this very important issue. We will now go on to the other proposal. Please welcome our zoning committee chair, Stephanie Simone Mahaney.
If I stand here, can you see the screen behind me? Yes? Okay. All right, so then I'll speak from here. Okay, this is going to be a little bit long, but I promise you it's not 1,300 pages. 1386. Okay, so in advance, I thank you for your attention and your patience. That's the end. Wish we were there. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so tonight's committee report comes with pictures. Okay. All right, Community Board 10 Zoning and Land Use Committee hosted a public meeting on Tuesday, June 4th at 7 p.m. at Fort Hamilton High School to present and discuss the City of Yes Housing Opportunity Citywide proposal. Representatives from the Department of City Planning were also present in order to provide an overview of the proposal and to respond to questions and concerns from the public. Approximately 700 people were in attendance. Following the DCP's presentation, the Zoning and Land Use Committee presented its review and analyses of the Housing Opportunity Proposal. Tonight's presentation, an updated version of that June 4th presentation, focuses on those issues that are most germane to Community District 10 and its 14 residential zoning districts. Over the course of several months and many meetings, the committee reviewed 1,386-page proposal, the environmental impact statement, and additional city planning materials, as well as considered the perspectives and concerns of CB10 residents. Next, please. Based on its findings, the committee will make its recommendation to the General Board this evening. As it did with the City of Yes Economic Opportunity recommendation, the committee will include comments and concerns in its response to city planning. At that time, CB10 provided an unfavorable recommendation, but outlined an extensive list of very specific concerns and suggestions for the City Planning Commission and the City Council. Many of our suggestions and modifications were incorporated into that final zoning text. So right now, this is not a done deal, okay? All right, next, please. Okay. The housing opportunity proposal seeks to increase the supply of housing in every neighborhood in New York City in order to increase affordability. There are many reasons for the affordable housing crisis. The Department of City Planning provided some studies, about 4, that support the claim that increases in housing supply slow rent growth and create greater affordability. However, we have looked at other analogous studies that had different outcomes where average housing costs did not decrease or in some cases actually increased. The quote behind me, one of the zoning and land use committee's concerns is reflected in a Vancouver study that focuses on the results of a pro-density zoning policy. The study demonstrates that a significant increase in housing units and density led to a sharp increase in housing prices. The increase in capacity on land parcels, in other words, the ability to build more smaller units on a single lot, caused an increase in land values. Ultimately, the supply and demand model depends on a competitive market, which is subject to many forces. Although housing opportunity is intended to add a lot of housing overall, but only a little in any given area, the market will determine the areas most advantageous for development of new housing. So in areas of less market interest, perhaps little will happen. We think that CB10, because of its attractive scale, for now, safe environment, and vibrant commercial areas, will generate maximum market interest. Potentially, there will not be just a little bit of new housing, but a lot of development in the district. However, this is uncertain because the proposal has not been fully analyzed, and many of the market variables have not been considered in the proposal. Next, please. Okay, this is a quick look at CB10's current housing and community character. The housing stock is very diverse. CB10 has 1- and 2-family homes, as well as mid to large size apartment buildings. 61% of the housing units are in multifamily structures, including rent-stabilized units. The majority of the district residents are renters. CB10 is among the most affordable communities in New York City. In fact, in April 2023, the Brooklyn paper reported that Bay Ridge had the lowest rent averages despite increasing prices. According to NYU's Furman Center neighborhood profile, the median gross rent in CB10 falls below city and borough averages. The overall rental vacancy rate in Bay Ridge and Dyker Heights was 4% in 2022. CB10 has a diversity of residents and a diversity of income distribution. The residents who occupy lowest density community districts are of similar racial and ethnic diversity to residents across the city, contrary to the stereotype that low density neighborhoods are exclusively high income. With any of the information I have here, I am happy to share it with you. Next, please. Okay. We're going to take a look back at community-based planning. The district experienced rezoning in 1978 with the establishment of the Special Bay Ridge District, in 2005 in Bay Ridge, and in 2007 in Dyker Heights. One of the most noteworthy and significant features of these rezonings is that they were community-based, collaborative processes. Rezonings in CB10 were widely supported, not only by local elected officials and the borough president, but by the community as well. Next. The City Planning Commission, in speaking about the Bay Ridge and Dyker Heights rezonings, stated in 2005 and 2007 respectively, that they, quote, believe that the proposed lower density and contextual zoning districts, together with the Special Bay Ridge District amendments provide the best possible protection to preserve the scale and character that are so highly valued by Bay Ridge residents, and that the rezoning proposal of Diker Heights and Fort Hamilton would preserve neighborhood character, scale, and density by replacing existing zoning districts with lower density and contextual zoning districts, ensuring that future residential and commercial development would be more consistent with the existing built environment. End quote. That was from City Planning Commission, and this has worked well for
CB10. These rezonings provided district-wide planning to preserve residential streetscapes, prevent tear-downs in mid-blocks, and prevent haphazard development while also allowing future growth and development. Next. As a result of these rezonings, there is still significant as-of-right development potential in CB10 today. The district has 1,062 parcels of land that have the potential for 50% more development. Now, under current zoning regulations, CB10 has the potential and capacity to create a little less than 1 unit per acre over 15 years, as per the Department of City Planning's estimates under the new proposal. Okay, this was in their recent FAQs. Next. Okay. All right. After its review of the environmental impact statement, the committee concluded that contrary to City Planning's claims, the EIS, which is the statement, has not provided a comprehensive analysis of the potential impacts of the housing opportunity proposal. The EIS has not clarified purpose and need, particularly with regard to many of the technical changes. It is not clear what the purpose of several rules is, why the changes are needed, what may happen as a result of the new rules, who is expected to utilize the new provisions, under what circumstances the new provisions would be used, how these changes lead to affordable housing, where development will take place, why some areas may be developed and others not, what the impacts will be to each community in the city, and where the impacts will be greatest. Next, please. Very telling is the following paragraph. This is from Chapter 24 of the Environmental Impact Statement. As such, the proposed action, which is the Housing Opportunity Proposal, would result in the potential for unavoidable adverse impacts with respect to public elementary schools, early childhood programs, open space, shadows, archaeological resources, architectural resources, visual resources, natural resources, hazardous materials, transportation, traffic, bus, subway, and pedestrians, noise, and construction, transportation, and noise. Next, please. Ideally, there would have been an analysis of Southern Brooklyn, or more specifically of Community Board 10, but City Planning instead analyzed the proposal as a generic action, their words, not mine, utilizing prototypical sites and representative neighborhoods. Because of the proposal's wide applicability through the city, City Planning states that it is difficult to predict the specific sites where development would be facilitated. The committee believes that without specific analysis of CD10, City Planning cannot be familiar with the district's unique characteristics and challenges. Of particular concern are, let's go to the next, school seat deficit. CB10 is located wholly in School District 20, which is the most overcrowded district in New York City. This is not specifically addressed in the EIS. Yard reduction. The EIS does not address the loss of permeability and resiliency that may result from a reduction in yard size. It does not consider how much stormwater will be diverted as a result of loss of yard space. It does not address the impacts to the loss of parking, nor consider unintended consequences like illegal front yard carports, which result in a de facto yard reduction. Shadows. The EIS, as I mentioned, states that the proposed action could result in a significant adverse shadow impact, the possibility of tear downs. In the past, in the 1980s, the city had run out of vacant land to build small homes, so builders began tearing down homes.
There were tremendous concerns that this practice would destabilize existing neighborhoods. Hence, contextual zoning was put in place. Bay Ridge and Dyker Heights benefited from this type of zoning. The committee is concerned that the possibility of tear downs has not been considered in the EIS. Next. Sewer infrastructure. Stated in the recently published Housing Opportunity FAQs, quote, the Department of City Planning conducted a thorough environmental impact review of this proposal and found that it would not have a significant adverse impact on water and sewer systems. This belies the experience of many residents in Community Board 10 and the condition of the aged combined sewage conveyance system. The conveyance system and combined sewer outfalls are old, and many portions of CB10 experience sewer backups and street flooding even during dry weather. There is no mention in the EIS of the impact of the housing opportunity proposal on this conveyance system. Owl's Head Wastewater Resource Recovery Facility, built in the 1950s, is one of 14 sewage treatment plants in New York City and services 5 community districts. The EIS did not study the impact of additional loads to this processing facility, which would be created by an increase in housing units. In the past, CB10 requested a drainage study in the area of Colonial Road and Narrows Avenue, as both locations experience frequent street flooding. Recent thunderstorms on June 13th and June 14th produced sewage backups in Dyker Heights, in the area around 10th Avenue, in Bay Ridge in the 80s between 6th and 7th Avenues, and in the Colonial Road, Narrows Avenue portions of the district. In the final analysis, there is no information on how much the infrastructure in CB10 could be stressed. This is a basic requirement of an appropriate environmental review of a proposal. Next. Okay. These are the separate components of the proposal. The proposal has been broken down into 4 categories, and the first one is low density. Next. These are district fixes. Okay. The main features of the proposal's district fixes are an increase in building height for 1 and 2 family homes, the reduction or elimination of side yards, the reduction of rear yards from 30 feet to 20 feet, an increase in floor area ratio, a decrease in minimum lot sizes, which would allow additional development of more smaller units, and an increase in the number of units within a zoning lot. So you could turn a 1-family into a 2-family house, and a 2-family into a 3-family house, or a 3-family into a multifamily. No one forces you to do that. It would be of your own volition. It is unclear as to why city planning has proposed these as-of-right changes in 1 and 2-family districts. It is not explained what it hopes to achieve by permitting these technical changes, nor has it explained what its expectations are or what the intended results are. Community Board 10 believes that 1 and 2-family homes are integral to keeping the district stabilized. It is important to maintain the mix of housing options in CB10. These include private market, 1 and 2-family homes, multifamily homes, condos, co-ops, and rent-stabilized apartments. The committee is concerned that this proposal incentivizes tear-downs, and that by creating more smaller units and subdividing houses, land values will increase, thereby making homes more expensive and less accessible. It is also concerned that this component of the proposal has no tie to affordability, but it upzones every contextual district in CB10. Next. Okay, the following is intended to illustrate what may result from these changes in CB10. Next, please. Okay. CB10 has seen similar changes before. This slide illustrates one example of possible outcomes under the new proposal. We're looking at the house in the center in both slides. The changes that you see here between 2007 and 2011 are the result of a Board of Standards and Appeals special permit made possible by Zoning Resolution 73622. This resolution has since been eliminated from CB10. The provisions from that resolution are the same as the provisions in the housing opportunity proposal, except that the new proposal would allow these changes as of right with no community review. So what you're looking at is horizontal and vertical enlargements in side yards and an attic space that is no longer required to be set back from the building wall. So you see a flat roof rather than a pitched roof, which has impacts on space and light. Like the housing proposal, it was designed to allow for only modest expansion. However, it did not produce new units of housing. There were no ties to affordability, and it resulted in negative impacts to open space, streetscapes, and neighboring properties. Because a specific study of the district has not been made, we have no way of knowing at scale what the impacts will be if these district fixes are implemented. Next, please. Okay, ADUs. New York City began a pilot program last year to test allowing ADUs, but at this time there is no information available about this test. This is an intriguing idea, but as proposed, it leaves CB10 with many questions and concerns, particularly since there are no rules. The city planning drawing is not an accurate depiction of CB10's environment. As you can see, it's very sparsely populated, and there's, I think there's only one car, 2 cars maybe. It does not take into consideration the safety of residents, the built-out environment of the district's garages or blocks, the possibility of multiple ADUs on one block, the encroachment of ADUs on the light and air of neighboring properties, encroachments in backyards, doors opening onto alleyways and shared driveways with cars, hookups for sewer, water, and electric, the possibility of less permeable space and resiliency as a result of a reduction in or paving of side and rear yards. Next, please. Yes. We do not know if these ADUs will be used for multi-generational families, for rentals, or even for home occupations. It is unclear if building codes, safety codes, fire codes, or occupancy levels would be enforced. CB10 has requested assurance from City Planning that the Department of Environmental Protection, the NYPD, and the FDNY are in support of this proposal, but no response has been given. CB10 has also requested specific technical information from City Planning in order to conduct its own analysis of the district and determine potential impacts from the creation of ADUs. We continue to wait for this information. Next. Just another example of where ADUs could be built. Unlike in other cities, which City Planning often cites as examples, there is no plan to oversee the growth of these ADUs. The rules and requirements are not based on different jurisdictions, nor on housing type, location, or specific zoning districts. It is a one-size-fits-all plan. ADUs will be as of right, with no need for special permits or variances. Neighbors will not have a say in what happens on adjoining properties. Most importantly, this component of the proposal has no tie to affordability. Next. Okay. The next component is transit-oriented development. These properties in the photo meet the criteria for transit-oriented development. They are in one of the zoning districts, R1 through R5. They're half a mile or 10 blocks from the transit, subway specifically. They're on lots of 5,000 square feet or more, and they are on wide streets or at the short end of a block. Under this proposal, areas not usually considered to be in a transit area, like sections of Colonial Road, Marine Avenue, 86th Street, Bay Ridge Parkway, Ridge Boulevard, would have sites eligible to become 3 to 5 story apartment buildings. There is no clear understanding of what can happen if these changes are implemented. CB10 could see tremendous change in R1 and R2 districts if apartment buildings replace single-family homes, and this proposal incentivizes teardowns. The committee believes that the transit zone radius should be reduced. The areas that would be included in the transit-oriented development are areas that do not have adequate transportation infrastructure and must be reevaluated. Next. Town center zoning. This proposal reintroduces new housing above businesses on commercial streets in low-density areas. The committee is generally supportive of this proposal. It allows flexibility and potential for growth without an increased need for parking in these areas. However, additional development rights are permitted if commercial use is included. Therefore, the committee thinks that the building should be capped at 3 stories. Next. Okay. This is the next large category, medium and high density. Next, in this category, we have the universal affordability preference, the UAP. The UAP would allow buildings to add at least 20% more housing if the additional homes are permanently affordable. This proposal extends an existing rule for affordable senior housing to all forms of affordable and supportive housing. The committee is somewhat supportive of this proposal for affordable and market rate housing in the medium and higher density districts. However, there is a great potential for change on 86th Street between 4th Avenue and Fort Hamilton Parkway. Next. Under current zoning, 7-story buildings can be developed. Potentially under the new proposal with affordable housing, lots could be developed to 9-story residential buildings, possibly with commercial ground floor. Prominent vacancies like models can become all affordable or partial affordable. The UAP at 60% of the area median income, the AMI, would provide a family with a 2-bedroom apartment for $2,097. So additional density is being created for market rate or close to market rate housing. Okay, next. Looking again most closely at 86th Street, the implications of this type of development would be the loss of retail or retail as an afterthought. Since commercial development of more than 10,000 square feet of retail triggers parking, developers may create smaller commercial spaces or perhaps none at all. This raises several questions. What should the city do to maintain 86th Street as a commercial corridor? Is commercial still viable in this area? The committee thinks that this area of the district needs further study and suggests the following. City planning should do a separate study of 86th Street. The community should plan for the future of 86th Street and not let short-term market forces determine development. This corridor should not be developed piecemeal, and parking mandates should be maintained. Next. Okay. Under current zoning regulations, there is significant potential for development in this area. Under the UAP, with a new proposal, a 9-story residential building could be developed along 3rd and 4th Avenues along these streets. But currently, under the regulations, there's capacity for development. Next. Okay. The next large category is citywide. And the next one, please. It's removing parking mandates. So the environmental impact statement did not provide any analysis as to what will happen without parking mandates. It does not address what will happen to all the cars, those belonging to current residents, and those belonging to new residents. The proposal's nudge, if you will, is to make cars go away, but the EIS does not directly address how this can be accomplished. So parking impacts will be created by eliminating the parking mandate. There have been long-standing issues with illegal parking that will be exacerbated by the removal of parking mandates. Illegal parking has consistently been the leading 311 complaint for CB10, followed by blocked driveways in 3rd place. The transportation network is not sufficient. The removal of these mandates is not done in conjunction with a substantial increase in quantity and quality of public transportation options. There will be more cars on the street, making streets less pedestrian-friendly. Next. Unintended consequences of parking removal have been problematic. These include the removal of front yards for illegal front yard parking, an increase in double parking, parking on hydrants and parking in front of private driveways. The city can explore the removal of parking mandates, but the implications of the parking proposal have not been studied and are not in the EIS. Next. So this is the reduction of spaces for parking lots that are developed to affordable housing. Under the current zoning regulations, an affordable housing development requires a special permit to eliminate existing parking spaces if the property is not in the transit zone. The new proposal eliminates the special permit, which requires community review. Parking lots that meet the criteria to be developed into affordable housing would be as of right. So parking that is currently available can be removed. Two of the most prominent examples in Bay Ridge are Shore Hill at 9000 Shore Road and the Bay Ridge Towers. Next. Small and shared housing. The City Planning Commission has stated that this proposal affects only new builds and does not have much applicability in Community Board 10. However, there is no specific study that identifies where small and shared housing can be built in this district. Therefore, the committee is unable to fully determine its applicability in the district. The committee expressed the following additional concerns regarding this proposal. Small and shared housing units are similar to tenements and single-room occupancy housing, or SROs. In the past in the district, there were problems with SROs. There are health, safety, and security concerns. There are over-occupancy concerns, and there is not a strong commitment to enforcing rules. Next. Okay, conversion of buildings. Under the new proposal, schools, houses of worship, and office buildings would be permitted to convert as of right to residential use. This is currently not allowed. Although there is a great deal of potential here for adaptive reuse, the committee has many concerns. This component of the proposal would be applicable to community facilities on potentially very large land lots, allowing developers to gain added floor area with no parking requirements and with no promise of affordable housing. Next slide. The housing opportunity proposal would enable faith-based organizations across the city to convert old convents, school buildings, and other types of properties into residential units. And Community District 10 has 70 such sites, as you can see by the purple on the map. Next slide. Are we there? Oh, okay. CB10 has seen several examples in the district where community facility rules were exploited for the development of condos or market rate housing without any affordable housing provision. The committee believes that these conversions should not be as of right and that community boards should have the ability to review any such developments. Okay. Next. Okay, the final category is miscellaneous, and under this category is railroad right-of-way. Under current zoning, a special permit is needed to build over a railway or rail yard. The housing opportunity proposal would eliminate this mandatory special permit, thereby removing public review of development on railroad rights-of-way. These types of developments involve large swaths of land with many environmental I know. Sorry. Only got a little more. I know. Okay, the committee is concerned that this component of the housing opportunity proposal is not tied to affordability and removes all public review of environmental issues, streetscape impacts, and affordability requirements. Therefore, the special permit requirement should be maintained. This is an example at 6200 8th Avenue. This has not been built yet. That's just a rendering, a computer. Okay. The previous two developers who owned this plot of land, as per city planning requirements, needed a special permit, but that mandate was waived for the third and current developer. And apparently that was based on a new legal interpretation. So the result is this 28-story building, which is out of context in this particular area, and it's also in a very dense neighborhood. So this would be allowable on a railroad right-of-way as of right, which it is now, yeah, and no affordability. They would not need parking under the new proposal. Okay. So the final recap and conclusion. Over the last several weeks, the committee and CB10 have heard from many district residents. During the public meeting on June 4th, of the 700 attendees, approximately 42 people had the opportunity to speak. All but 2 were against the proposal. The district office received 25 emails, 10 walk-in visits, 20 phone calls, and 10 surveys that were against the proposal. 2 other emails were in favor of the proposal. Additionally, of the 4 CB10 council members, 1 said that they would vote against the proposal in its current draft form. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, the committee has spent considerable time reviewing the citywide proposal and understanding its applicability to CB10. Given the breadth and the length of the zoning text amendment, and once again the significant time restrictions, we have only been able to delve into a portion of this document. We have not been able to analyze how the housing opportunity component will interact with the other recently adopted carbon neutrality and economic opportunity components. Although the committee requested an analysis of the implementation and interaction of these three components from city planning, we did not receive an answer. In summary, the committee believes that the City of Yes housing opportunity proposal will not create more affordable housing and that it will make homes more expensive and of lesser quality. The committee is concerned that the proposal will lead to more speculative purchases of homes and neighborhood institutions for the purposes of subdivision and demolition. It may also undermine existing neighborhood businesses by inducing the sale and redevelopment of existing stores. The committee suggests that city planning look at each individual neighborhood and district and carefully consider the opportunities for new housing, the condition of neighborhood infrastructure, and balance that with the preservation of the neighborhood's housing stock, businesses, and institutions. City of Yes does not do this. As a generic citywide plan, it has the potential to forever damage CD10 as well as other neighborhoods across the city. Okay. Moving on to the motion, just wanted to explain, the City Planning Commission has instructed community boards to submit their resolutions and any accompanying statement through the City Planning Zoning Application Portal, or ZAP, and community boards must select only one of four options. They are favorable, favorable with conditions, unfavorable, or unfavorable with conditions. Based on all of the aforementioned information and concerns, the Zoning and Land Use Committee motioned to submit an unfavorable opinion regarding the proposed citywide zoning text amendment. The committee vote was unanimous. Because the committee sees the individual components of this proposal as inextricably linked, we have viewed this proposal as a whole and made our recommendation accordingly. And as we did with the economic opportunity component, the committee will include comments and concerns in our response to city planning. Okay. So we did not meet in quorum in person, so I need a second from the floor. Okay. Okay. Is there any discussion?
So, just so I understand, we have to accept some form of this City of Yes housing opportunity? Is there something that we could say we don't want any part of it, or?
We basically, by voting unfavorable or submitting an unfavorable opinion, we have said that we cannot accept this draft as it is.
But that doesn't mean that they can't move forward anyway, or?
They can move forward. This goes, actually, so just so that you're clear, what happens next after this evening's vote, the CB10 submits its recommendation, any concerns to city planning. Then the City Planning Commission has a public hearing at the end of July. Okay. And after the commission votes on the City of Yes, the City Council will have 50 days to make modifications. What happened last time during the second component, economic opportunity, we went through this process, we voted as a community board, we submitted an unfavorable recommendation, it went to City Planning, they voted on it, I believe they passed it, right? And then it went to City Council. We were involved with we had conversations with City Planning, with our council member, and with the City Council's Land Use Department, and we recommended modifications, and many of those were incorporated into the final draft. So there is hope. We are only taking questions from the board members at this time.
Very elaborate report, lengthy one, but that's all right. I congratulate you. I want a clarification.
Mm-hmm.
In one moment, you said you can use non-residential spaces or whatever to residential. What do you mean? If I have a garage or if I have a parking area, a balcony, this is very confusing.
Are you talking about the conversions of community facilities, specifically houses of worship, schools, office buildings, which are now, you cannot just convert them to residential.
It's it's going to be a chaotic situation. If I want to expand here, right, it's better to build big buildings and clean and have clean sewers. If you add to the existing houses, the old ones, because Bay Ridge is not really being fully developed or modernized, I think that is scary.
Well, so I don't have a question, but I do have a comment about this overall. So this whole text amendment is based on the premise, it seems, that to increase housing, the solution is density. That if you just, it's based on the premise that if you build more units, you're going to increase affordable housing. And there are studies out there and reports and opinions of various zoning professionals, some of which were cited by Stephanie, that that premise isn't correct. But let's just, for the purposes of argument, say that maybe it is, right? Maybe it is, okay. The problem I have is at the public hearing that we had to inform the community about this, at the end, one of the DCP reps stood up and said, in answer to a lot of the questions that people came up here even this evening asking, well, what's going to happen to traffic? What's going to happen to the schools? What's going to happen to, the various services? And he said, well, there's full disclosure. There's full disclosure in this document. We have to do an environmental impact study, and it's all in there. So, we're not hiding anything. And the very first thing at the beginning of the presentation, I just want to stress this, that Stephanie pointed out is that it says there are unavoidable, significant adverse impacts. And what that means is that even if you try to make little tweaks to try to fix it, mitigating they call it, they don't think they can fix these issues. And the issues are with all of these things that people had mentioned. With your community facility and services, your schools, your light and air situations, construction, noise, the impact on transportation. They're saying in this report, we did a study, and the study says there's going to be bad results from this. So I feel that to push this forward, to solve one problem, possibly, let's just assume their solution is right, to create all these other problems, it's not a good idea. I don't think that this plan, is a good idea. Now, it's a plan. You can trash it. You can go back to the drawing board. So if we have a problem with housing, there might be a million ways to solve it. This one's not it. And I don't think that any amount of tweaking, right, is going to fix this particular plan, because they admit these negative effects cannot be fixed with tweaks. So when we submit our commentary, as Stephanie said, we have to submit it in a portal. We get 4 choices, right? Stephanie explained. And the way it goes is we say, well, anything really other than we just don't want this, when they report the results, if we say, well, we'd accept it if you make these changes, they report it as in favor except wanting modifications. And I don't think, with the exception of a few people who got up and spoke about this, that listening and going through all of this for this amount of time, and it's been a lot of work and a lot of listening, a lot of time, that I've heard almost anyone who's in favor of this. So I just wanted to point that out, that even if it, in theory, does achieve, that density achieves better housing, and once this density is in effect, it's never coming down. And this is across the city. It's not just here, it's everywhere. You know, your parents always said, land, they're not making any more of it. It's a very scarce resource. And if it can be exploited, it will be exploited. And this, to my mind, is not city planning. It's more so a deregulation. It's sort of let it go to market forces. It doesn't work for me.
Okay, Steve? Oh, Sandy.
It seems to me that being a board member of Dyker Heights Civic Association, we've spent many hours and many meetings discussing illegal home conversions. And it just seems that the city of Yes is just legalizing that issue that we've been fighting against for so many years. Another question that I've had, and I've never gotten a response from anybody, from either the city or either my meetings at the Borough of Brooklyn meetings that I've attended at the Borough President's office, is that we still don't know what the financial issue is going to be, or if Department of Finance is going to increase the tax rate once the housing is increased, or if the assessed value is raised. There's going to be a difference in taxation. So you're looking at higher taxes, and nobody is giving any response to that. Nobody.
Thank you. Steve, you want it?
Hi, I just wanted to say that the entire rezoning that they're proposing here is really based on a fallacy. One of the things that was spread in the newspapers and everything at the beginning is that this city has not had a rezoning in 100 years. If you look at it from outside the community, this community, you say, well, that's a terrible thing. We really have to keep modern and that kind of thing. This community, okay, Community Board 10, since, what is it, 1970s, Joe, right? We've had 2 or 3 rezonings. We've always been very, very careful about our zoning to make sure that it works, and it does, right? And for them to say that they have to include all communities, because I think there have been other communities out in Queens, et cetera, who have done the same thing and always been very careful, worked with city planning, right? And then we've had these approved over time. It was, and not just like this particular community boards, but the ones that were before it and the ones before that. For them to come in here and say, we know better, after they have approved it in all our previous requests and worked with us to make this community even better, and now just turn around like that and say, we are going to redo it from bottom to top, makes no sense whatsoever. And I think that's very important for everybody to remember. We have always been very careful about our zoning, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Julie, I think is next to you. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to, of course I'm concerned with Bay Ridge and Dyker. I live in Bay Ridge. I'm a local realtor here for 37 years. But I'm wondering, Staten Island, which has a ton of open space, what is happening with them? I mean, maybe we can join forces with other community boards, and there's power in numbers, because I'm thinking of them and I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen there? Well, I care about Bay Ridge, but I'm saying, well, you do have to care about other communities too. You do. And, well, I sell in Staten Island too, and I'm concerned about them also. But I'm concerned about our own community. I am. But the reason I'm asking is because maybe there's a way for us to partner up with other community boards. They're right over the bridge.
Right. I mean, to your point, there is strength in numbers, and in our last time around, we joined forces with the rest of the community boards. Ruth, are you trying to speak?
Oh, can I speak? I'm sorry.
I don't know. Are you asking a question? I don't know. I thought it was moving to Barbara.
Can I say
You
something?
have a comment, yes.
Okay, my comment is, with all this interest in additional housing for affordability, I want to know why all those new apartment buildings up and down 4th Avenue and Sunset do not have any affordability. So there is new housing, there's lots and lots of new housing in Gowanus, other areas in Brooklyn, and I don't know who can afford them, but I can't.
Thank you. I know there was Daniel and then Barbara.
This one's going to be fun. All right, first of all, I've lived here my whole life. I was born here. My parents lived here. My grandparents lived here. I met my fiance at PS 102. I hope you guys understand that I care about this neighborhood. We have to at least be part of the conversation here. We can't say that we are somehow different from the rest of the city, because the affordability crisis that we're seeing in the rest of the city, it's going to come here. It already is. I'm a renter. 61% of this neighborhood are renters, and our rents are going up every year. I've lived here my whole life. I want to raise my kids here. I don't know if I can. We've done everything right, me and my fiance. We have good jobs. We pay our student loans every year. We cannot afford to live here. And so to anybody who's saying that this doesn't work, what do you want to see done? Because there's no, I mean, we're saying like, well, I don't know if density is going to fix this. But the truth is, I haven't heard anybody else say what they think we need to do as a community. I've seen a lot of hands going up. I'm sorry. Because we have to do something. And to say that we are different from the rest of the city, it's wrong. It's wrong, and it's going to come here. And we have to, there are things that I want to change about this. There are things that I don't like. For example, I think the transit-oriented development radius should be reduced. I don't think that we should be building 5-floor apartments on Colonial. But we have to be part of the conversation. To just reject it, people are not going to take our views seriously.
We are part of the conversation. I just want to address that point as we were with the other component. I'd ask Barbara first and then Lori. This is a process. And then the other piece about affordability, none of these guarantees affordability.
So I wanted to ask a question. From what I looked at, city planning and the city council has already approved
No.
this? No.
No, not this component.
Not this
they
component.
did carbon neutrality and economic
so
opportunity.
Just to add on to what you're saying, I know that in Windsor Terrace community where I came from, they've just built a huge complex on one of the borders of Windsor Terrace where there is some affordable housing. Most of the units are above the non-affordable housing. A one-bedroom apartment is almost $5,000 a month. A two-bedroom apartment is $7,000 a month. And their income guideline is that people have to make at least $165,000 in order to rent a one-bedroom apartment. So I think there's more going on here than just affordable housing. Businesses, big businesses, real estate conglomerates, all of these people want to make money, and I think they're making money off the backs of the middle class in Brooklyn.
Thank you. I have Lori, I have Carmelo, and I have Dean. I'm so sorry.
I just want to respond to my fellow board member's comment. There's a little fallacy of logic there that I picked up, which is that we aren't being part of the conversation or how we think that we're somehow different. All right, I'm going to say me, okay, because I'm speaking on my own behalf as a board member. It's sort of wrong to say, hey, don't try to hold on so tight to your little piece of land and disregard anybody else who may be renting or, trying to, make the best of it and, live the American dream. That is not at all if you thought that, maybe if some people took that as what I was suggesting. I'm just saying this plan as a citywide blanket plan I think is a bad idea, because by making it a citywide blanket plan, they've made it so that there is no mitigation. By making it all as of right, there's lesser way to mitigate the negative effects as opposed to doing it as they, had previously, section by section of the city, because I think that the city is so vast and every area has its own concerns with regard to transportation and various things. To open it up and make everything as of right, I think, is a bad idea. There's an idea out there to address this, and it needs to be addressed. I just think this one, in this manner, is not the right way.
I'm going to bring it over here right now because Daniela was waiting.
Hi, I've had my hand up the whole time. So I would just say, as for my fellow board members, we should share the floor a little bit. And if people have made comments, other people should be able to jump in and make comments before people make second comments and third comments. So, well, just because I'm just mentioning that in general. Because my comment goes back for like a while ago, and it's kind of like the general comments we had about the economic plan. It's that the ideas of enforcement and unintended results that are just kind of being minimized by city planning, I find really disheartening. And somebody had brought up financial issues and how it's money-making. Well, the city's struggling with deed theft. It's an issue that's been brought up in the state of the city by the speaker. It's a definite issue that's going on. The country as a whole is suffering from institutional investors purchasing real estate and jacking up pricing. How is any of that going to be mitigated? And then how does any of that not being mitigated support affordable housing? And so I'd love for some of those thoughts to be included when we have a response as well. I don't know where they would fit in. I think you alluded to some of them, but just kind of highlighting them here. Thanks.
Before, and then,
Thank you. As you know, being on the zoning committee, I was firmly against this, and I still am. Density without sustainability and services is stupid. But the thing that's really important here is, and I want to address my friend Danny, who I've known since he was 5. Right, since 102. None of this proposal mandates affordability. That is the tell in this proposal. If they wanted affordability, they'd break it out and say it's a must, but they're not. And the reason they're not is because they don't care. And secondly, density does not equal affordability necessarily. If you have increased demand, it's just going to suck up the density. New York always has demand. We need a carve-out for affordability. This proposal nowhere has it. So we should take the word affordability out of this proposal, and all it is a proposal for more density. And they're shoving things wherever they want to, and it makes no sense. And that's my 2 cents.
Dean, did you still have a question? Okay, I need Dean, and then we're going to have to Carmen, Larry. So Dean,
a part of understanding this proposal is who put it forward. It was not put forward, or it is put forward by the city, but it was completely developed by the giants of the real estate industry. That's who developed this, the giants of the industry. And all they want to do is eliminate zoning, eliminate regulations, so they can do whatever they want to make the most money. So that's why it's a lousy proposal for us.
Okay, thank you. I just have Karin and Larry, and we have to call the question.
I'm having a coughing issue, so I'm going to stand. A few months ago, we had a town hall meeting here. The mayor came in with a whole army of superintendents, and he answered one question per table. And they talked about lack of parking, the scooters, seniors feeling all safe, and I'm thinking to myself, valid, valid, valid. I was the last speaker to speak, and I talked about the city of Yes. and I used to work at a newspaper, and when I worked at the Daily News, affordable housing meant affordable housing. So I posed a question to him, who's going to build this additional housing? Is the city going to be involved or private citizens? He didn't answer, and then I asked a second question. If it's private citizens, I've yet to see anything being built in the last 10 years that was affordable. Even the people on my block, I asked a few people, well, I know you own a few homes. Would you consider how much rent would be in the new facility? Well, when I bought this building, I should have bought 2 buildings because now I can't afford to even make improvements in the building I own. And the one thing that amazed me about the mayor was he didn't answer my question, didn't feel embarrassed that he wasn't answering my question, but he goes on TV and promotes this like it's the best thing out there. I have people asking me all the time, do you know of an apartment? Do you know of an apartment? I always have to say no, because I don't know of any apartments available in Bay Ridge. And if I did, it would be in a luxury building in Sunset Park that's unaffordable to them. So I understand everybody's concerns. We've been bombarded with this. We live it. We deal with it all the time. And if the mayor cannot answer the question, that's very telling.
Okay, thank you, Carmen. Can you just, Larry, we have to
All right, sort of to footnote or to add on what Dean was talking about, the developers. But the one thing that was very telling was that they say they're eliminating all the parking requirements. That's typical of very Manhattan-centric developer types. Oh yeah, the cars are just going to go away. Or just suppose you build a 9-story tower on the old Century 21
Larry, I'm sorry to
site.
cut you off. I know, I do appreciate it. We have to call
Where are all
the
those
question.
cars going to go? Oh no, that doesn't matter. We
Okay,
don't have
so
cars. We're in Manhattan, we don't need
the
cars.
motion is on the floor. I have to, so once again, this is, the motion on the floor with a second is that the Zoning and Land Use Committee motion to submit an unfavorable opinion. All in favor? Board members only. Okay, okay, any opposed?
No more questions. No more questions.
What did-
Three. We have three.
Wait,
Three opposed.
Any abstentions? Any recusals?
Two recusals or one recusal? Two recusals and abstained.
Okay, I wanted to thank you all for your patience. I greatly appreciate it. I know it was lengthy.
Thank you so much, and thank you for such a thorough report. Now, Cinderella might have been able to stay out till midnight, but Community Board 10 is not allowed to stay out until midnight. We are running out of our time for our evening meeting, and so we will, due to the late hour, we will have to waive some of our informational reports. They will be on the community website. So we are waiving the chair's report, the district manager's report, and the treasurer's report. We do have a committee report from Traffic and Transportation. I will ask our chair, Jack Zhang, to just focus on there are 4 committee reports with recommendation for discussion and vote. We will skip the first 2 informational reports. Thank you, Jack.
All right, guys. Single-handedly doubling the number of motions here. Please read the informational reports. I spent hours on them. Okay, so I'm going to go to the first motion, review of the 7th Avenue Poly Place Street Safety Improvement Project. As reported to the board in the May 2024 general meeting, on June 12th, the committee held a public hearing at Poly Prep with the local community on the 7th Avenue Poly Place Street Safety Plan. The DOT provided the same presentation as they did in the May 9th committee meeting. As reported in the May 2024 general meeting, their plan included eliminating slip lanes, switching traffic directions on 88th and 90th Street, installing bus boarding islands, creating a protected 2-way bike lane, and ban the left turn at 86th Street at 7th Avenue. The committee heard a variety of comments from the public as well as received comments before and after the committee meeting. generally summarized as follows. Number one, concern on the street directional flip due to traffic flow. Concern on school bus flow into local streets which may not have clearance for turning. Concern for truck traffic and continued parking along 7th Avenue. Concern in a general area on a continued traffic backup due to proximity to the BQE exit at 92nd Street. Otherwise, the public were in aggregate, neutral, or supportive of other parts of the plan. Based on the public comments and the public's specific suggested changes to the plan, the committee passed the following motion, and this one doesn't require a second. So here's a motion. Motion to send a letter to the DOT recommending the following changes to the 7th Avenue Poly Place plan. Number one, add bus shelters to the new bus island. Number two, keep the Parrot Place slip lane. Number three, keep the 88th Street and 90th Street direction as is. Number four, change the Battery Avenue direction to accommodate the school buses. Number five, add speed cameras along 7th Avenue. And number six, move bus stop from the 86th Street in front of the Diker Park to outside of IS 322. There's a mistake on that. Request feasibility study to add a traffic light at the intersection of Poly Place outside Fort Hamilton Army Base Gates. So 7 changes we are recommending to the plan. Any questions? Right outside of IS 322, so just moving it 1 block over to in front of the school.
Did you say you want to keep the slip lane?
Keep the Parrot Place slip lane, remove the slip lane that's outside of Fort Hamilton intersection.
And why? What is the reasoning for that?
That is a useful slip lane for the residents of that area to keep access. If you don't keep that slip lane and do the other changes in direction in the streets, it's going to be very, very hard to access like your house in the middle of that area. For example, you have to like drive all the way around to 92nd Street, sorry, 92nd Street in order to enter. Slip lane is just an easy way to turn right.
Why are we asking to add more speed cameras on 7th Avenue for?
100% of the cars in their traffic study were speeding along 7th Avenue. So residents suggested adding speed cameras.
Because there's 2 speed cameras already. One's on 83rd and 7th, and then there's one right by the golf course. So you're proposing to add what, 2 more towards Poly Prep?
Yes.
Speed cameras?
Yes. Any other comments? Okay, this does not require a second. I would call this to motion. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. All opposed? Recusals? Abstentions? Okay. All right, number 2. On June 18th, the committee met in virtual quorum to hear PS 170's application for an open street, which would be in effect on school days from 8 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. September 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, closing 71st Street between 6th and 7th Avenue to vehicular traffic. The PS 170 applicant presented an update to the application whereby the time period requested is for actually 2:40 p.m. to 3 p.m., which is a period of 20 minutes and not the full day. And it would be from 6th Avenue to Stewart Avenue, which is a street that intersects, which is an undesignated street that intersects 71st Street between 6th and 7th Avenue, and is therefore not maintained by the city, Stewart Avenue. The provided reasoning is that during the school dismissal, students as well as parents cross the street haphazardly and not only at crosswalks, and that the school already has 2 crossing guards posted at the main entrances and have requested for more, but is unlikely to receive more due to the shortages of crossing guards. The committee received public comments before and during the meeting. The public were generally concerned about residents' access to driveways, emergency vehicle access, and traffic backup, especially onto 6th Avenue, 7th Avenue, and 72nd Street, due to parents picking up the children. There were some public comments that the school shouldn't be responsible for students' and parents' behavior after dismissal, as well as other comments that the school is responsible for educating students and especially parents on crossing behavior. There were also concerns about accessorized access, staffing during the 20-minute period, and package delivery. There were public suggestions to require dismissal through the main entrance, which is at 6th Avenue, and a suggestion around a trial period as opposed to the whole year. PS 170 provided clarification to the public comments. During the street closure period, there would be a building response plan. Staff and emergency vehicles would be led through. The school has not experienced any fatalities or injuries thus far, but is worried about safety and noted that the parents are the primary problem. The school has sent multiple memos, spoken at PTA meetings, and brought in youth officers to address street crossing behavior. In light of the changes to the application and the confusion around Student Avenue, the committee voted to deny the application for the following reasons. One, PS 170 should submit an updated, amended application to DOT with clarity on exact timing and street closures, especially on the extent on 71st Street to Student Avenue. Number two, concern about the traffic ramification on the surrounding street and potential backup, especially since it's during the pickup period. Number three, please. Number three, PS 170 should discuss and talk to neighbors affected to gather buy-in prior to amending the application. So here's a motion as stated. I do need a second from the floor. Motion to deny the application submitted for an open street at PS 170, which would be in effect on school days from 8 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. September 1st through June 30th, 2025, and closing 71st Street between 6th and 7th Avenue. Okay, do I have a second from the floor? Is that a second? Any questions? Okay, all right, all in favor? Okay, all opposed? Recusals, abstentions? Thank you. One recusal. Okay, number three, motion number three. The TNT received an application from Gino's Restaurant at 7414 Fifth Avenue. The applicant is seeking a sidewalk cafe, our second of the year, for 6 tables and 24 seats, which is configurable to be 2 long tables for 20 seats. Gino's Restaurant has previously applied and been approved for sidewalk cafe through the temporary sidewalk cafe program during the pandemic, but not from the Department of Consumer Affairs program prior to the pandemic. The application meets current requirements as set by the DOT. The applicant has an SLA license that includes outdoor premise use, which is license number 1109034. The district office reported no prior complaints for the premises. The sidewalk cafe is planned to be open on the following days and times: Monday, closed; Tuesday to Thursday, from 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday, 11 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. Okay, so the motion, which I do require a second, is to approve application number 2024-0502-030001 for Gino's Restaurant and Pizzeria for an outdoor sidewalk cafe with the following stipulations. Number one, close by 11 p.m. Sunday to Thursday, 12 p.m. midnight, Friday and Saturdays, which they meet. Only ambient lighting is to be used. Number three, umbrella and/or soundproofing to be installed. Number four, must observe the NYC Fire Department codes. No open flame, no fire pits, no barbecuing, no smoking regulations from the Department of Health. Code number five, code and Building Department Code and Public Assembly Code, and then New York City Department of Consumer Affairs regulation regarding sidewalk cafes. Number six, outdoor spaces must have seated food service. Number seven, sidewalk cafe furniture must be removed and stored inside at night. Number eight, French door, garage door, windows that slide, open/slide, roll-ups, and retractable truths. If installed, these doors, windows have hours to close them. 10 p.m. on Sunday to Thursday, or 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. And then tables, chairs, furniture are not to be out all night. Lastly, observe NYC Department of Health and Mental Hygiene regulations regarding smoking, including designated smoking areas and outdoor spaces. So these are standard stipulations from prior to the pandemic. Okay, any questions?
Just really quickly, you mentioned soundproofing. How does that impact outdoor?
That's a good question. In the upcoming regulations, you're not allowed to have music. So at that point, it's actually fairly moot, but we kept it in there anyway. Other questions? All right, do I have a second for this? I can see a second there. Okay, all in favor? The second right there. All opposed? I see one opposed. Any recusals, abstentions? Okay. Motion passes. Okay, last one. Sorry? This one's the easy one. The TNT committee discussed the standard stipulations and suggested updates to the standard stipulations. These stipulations will be used on upcoming outdoor dining applications. As previously reported for the new program, the DOT requires an application to be submitted by August 3rd in order for continued use of existing structures through November 1st, and the committee board has 30 days to respond to each application. As the district office expects to receive applications for which there may not be time for a committee and board review during the summer hiatus, the motion as approved by the committee allows use of the stipulations during the summer for application approvals. So here's a motion. Motion to update the standard stipulations for future sidewalk and roadway cafe applications and to allow the use of standard stipulations during the summer hiatus. Number one, the restaurants will meet with the community board in case of future issues or problems with the sidewalk or roadway cafe as raised by the community. Number two, electric wires and plugs that run along the sidewalk shall be safely secured to the ground. Number three, sidewalk cafe area will be kept clean overnight. Number four, restaurant is aware of noise code regulations and will enforce this among patrons. Number five, as per adopted rules of NYC Department of Transportation, a licensee must comply with the New York City Noise Control Code, Chapter 2 of Title 24 of the Administrative Code, as applicable, including all restrictions, prohibitions relating to unreasonable noise. No musical instruments or sound reproduction or amplification devices shall be operated or used within a sidewalk cafe or roadway cafe, except where authorized pursuant to street activity permit issued pursuant to Chapter 1 of Title 50 of the Rules of the City of New York. Licensee will agree that we will enforce those provisions. Number six, sidewalk cafes, roadway cafes may operate only during the following hours and days: Sunday, 10 a.m. to midnight, Monday, 8 a.m. to midnight, Tuesday, 8 a.m. to midnight, Wednesday, 8 a.m. to midnight, Thursday, 8 a.m. to midnight, Friday, 8 a.m. to midnight, and Saturday, 8 a.m. to midnight. Could have condensed that, sorry. All outdoor spaces will have seated food service. Number 8, alcohol consumption shall not be served at a sidewalk or roadway cafe unless permitted by New York State Liquor Authority. Number 9, only ambient lighting may be used. Number 10, there will be no smoking within the outdoor sidewalk or roadway cafes. And number 11, during hours when a temporary outdoor dining setup is not operating, the licensee must secure all furnishing and decorative elements of such dining setup, such as tables and chairs, using a cable or other locking system. Such secured furnishing or decorative elements shall not impede or block access to utility infrastructure or assets. Umbrellas and coverings, if utilized, shall be secured during inclement weather, such as high wind conditions or heavy snow events. Outdoor furniture shall be removed and stored inside at night. So these are standard stipulations that were approved by the committee. Any questions or additions? We can double check that, and if it's at midnight, sorry, if it's actually at 11, we'll amend it before using it. Any other comments, questions? Okay. All right, I need a second from the floor. I got a second there. All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. All opposed? All right, abstentions, recusals. Great. So lastly, I just want to say a quick thanks to the committee for reviewing these thorough questions. We met 3 times in June, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jack. And we will again suspend the Parks Committee report, which was also informational. And our last item is from the Nominating Committee, the nominations for officer positions for fiscal year 2025, July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Our secretary, Shirley Chin, is absent, and we ask our treasurer, Stephanie Simone Mahaney, to cast one vote in affirmation of the slate brought forth by the nominating committee at the May 20th, 2024 board meeting as follows. Treasurer, Stephanie Simone Mahaney. Secretary, Shirley Chin. Vice Chair, Sandy Vallis. And Chair Jane Marie Kapitanakis.
I cast one vote for the slate.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for your support. Do we have any old business? Seeing none. Do we have any new business? Seeing none, we wish you all a very happy summer, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Motion to adjourn, please, please. Thank you. Thank you.